Hello and welcome to Self-Care for Educators. This class was developed by myself and my friend Florence Aasen, who is a coach and trainer and high school teacher in Norway. I'm a psychotherapist and school social worker in Northern Virginia in the Fairfax County school system. We put this class together because of the unprecedented stress of working in schools. In particular, this has been affected by the incidence of COVID and how that's impacted school attendance and mental health. That there are higher levels of anxiety and depression in students and staff than ever. There are higher demands on teachers and mental health staff to meet the ever-increasing levels of needs in students. And even though there are higher demands, that we haven't had much more support or relief. In addition to these things, there's been a lot of violence in the community, both in general and also in schools in particular, and that there's a general uncertainty of the future. And because of all of this, stress levels are particularly high in schools. I ask you to note just right now, what is the most stressful part of working in schools for you these days? For you, what do you find most stressful? We're going to talk about models for stress reduction. The first model we're going to mention is the stress bucket model, which says that there are stressors that fill up a bucket. You can think of it as a bucket of allostatic load, which is the cumulative burden of chronic stress and life events. And when you're working in schools, this consists of having too many requirements, too many challenging kids, and not enough time, for example. Next, there is the fact that vulnerabilities affect the size of the bucket. So this has to do with our physical and mental health and how it affects our capacity to handle stress. The healthier we are, the more we can handle it. And lastly, there are stress relievers that keep the bucket from overflowing by taking out some of the stress. And these include rest and relaxation, doing things you enjoy, and having good coping skills. So stress reduction can involve any of these three. Either we can reduce the number of stressors, we can improve our health so that we can handle more, or we can have more stress relievers that keep our stress level lower. Another model for stress reduction is the fill your cup model, which is that we have to replenish and take care of ourselves first so that we can help other people. And we do that by doing activities that are very replenishing and restorative to us, such as the ones that are put on this cup. And for each of us, we have our own. So you might think a little bit about what's most restorative to you, what helps you fill your cup, what helps restore you so you can help other people. And just notice what are some of the things that come to mind for that. Another way of looking at stress is the bell curve of care, where care of self is on one side and care of others is on the other side. The perfect midpoint is where we have both a balance of care and self and care of others, so that we have our peak experience of meaning and fulfillment and peace because we're taking care of ourselves and also being there for other people. The extreme of care of self is that we're under caring for others, and the extreme of caring for others is that we're neglecting ourselves. And you might ask, where are you on this curve? Where do you tend to fall between care of self and care of others? Educators tend to fall about here, which is a place of undercare of self and overcare for others. So you might be mindful of that and really try to work towards being closer to the middle so that you feel more of a balance and sustainability. So I ask you right now to notice, how do you drain your stress bucket? How do you fill your cup? And how do you take care of yourself? What are ways that you keep all of this in check so that your stress levels are reasonable and sustainable? Sensory inputs are a way of creating relief and replenishment. And for example, when we use the sense of touch, like we get a massage or we get hugs, that creates more of a feeling of relief. Seeing something beautiful, using our sight to see a landscape outside, or perhaps have a beautiful piece of art, or look at people that we love through vision. Using smell through aromatherapy or flowers, or perhaps the smell of food that's been cooking, even the smell of fresh air outside. And then also the sense of sound, whether it be listening to music, listening to comedy shows, listening to friends talking, that can all bring relief. And then there are also other sensory inputs like the breeze, the sun, a hot shower, a warm bath, holding a cup of tea, feeling a blanket on your shoulders. These are all ways that we can have some feeling of more relief. So we can be mindful of how can we use sensory input. How can we use a sensory input in our lives to feel more relief and to feel more well-being? Today, we're going to talk about a stress reduction method that uses a particular kind of sensory input. And it's shown on these pictures at the bottom of the slide. This method is called havening, which has to do with the word haven, meaning to put in a safe place. Havening creates a feeling of safety. So these are some pictures of havening touch, and I'd like you to do havening touch with me so you can experience it yourself. So as the gentleman on the left side shows, that's hand havening, where you take your hands and you move your hands back and forth. It could be vertically or horizontally, and it could be low in your lap if you'd like. And you do this in a way that feels relaxing to you. The second place of touch for havening is the arms, and this is done by moving from the shoulders to the elbow in a downward stroke as if you were stroking a pet. We do downward rather than upward because that's more soothing and relaxing. So just sweeping down with a comforting touch. And the last location is the face, which we can use as a whole from our forehead to our chin, or we can do particular parts like our cheek or in our forehead. So havening touch is just a massaging touch to the face. And when we do havening, we rotate between these three locations, the hands, the arms, and the face. And if there's any location that we don't like that feels uncomfortable, we don't need to do that. So we can stick with the ones that work. But each one of these places brings its own benefit. So it's kind of helpful if you don't mind doing those three as best you can. And I would like you to notice now when you do these havening touch places, if you notice how you feel after having done them. Do you feel any calm, or do you notice any change after doing havening touch? And simply doing havening touch is soothing. Havening causes the production of delta waves, and this is a big reason why it's effective. Delta waves are the slowest and calmest brain waves. They're only 0.5 to 4 hertz or waves per second. They're the kind of waves we feel in our deepest sleep. And there's a time when we consolidate our memories and integrate what we've learned. So it's a very good form of brain waves for learning and for education. Delta waves also cause the release of oxytocin, serotonin, and GABA, and the reduction of cortisol and adrenaline. So havening helps reduce stressful neurotransmitters, hormones, and increase relaxing neurotransmitters and hormones. And finally, delta waves depotentiate or downregulate or calm the amygdala. And that's maybe the biggest thing that they do for us and that we use with havening. Ron Rudin, the founder of havening, came across this idea by looking at a study from Dr. Mel Harper that studied which places of touch create the most delta waves. And what this study did was it put vibrating pads on each location of the body to see which produces more delta waves. And the study showed that when you put touch on the cheek, it actually causes 90 times the amount of delta waves as doing nothing. The shoulder causes 5 to 8 times the amount of delta waves as doing nothing, and palms of the hand cause 5 times. So Dr. Rudin put together these three main places in a way of touch that's soothing and nurturing, like massage, to form the method of havening. And that's why we use these three places of cheek, shoulder, and palms. This is a video of a baby receiving touch naturally by a mother. And as you can see, the touch that the baby gets makes the baby feel really happy and present and just delighted. And this is very natural. We very naturally stroke and soothe our offspring because we realize that it makes them feel better. And havening uses the fact that this is biologically helpful. And that's why we find it so effective. And even though we find that it's just very natural, we've also been doing studies to show that it is effective. So these are some research studies that have been done on havening. The first one, it showed that havening was reducing anxiety and depression, so it really helped with mental health. The second study studied not only mental health, but also how do people appear and behave, and also what is their physical markers like cortisol levels and blood pressure, and havening improved all of those. Havening also in the most recent study was shown to reduce distress and negative mood and enhance psychological health. So studies are being done all the time. Havening is a relatively new method. It's been taught publicly for about 10 years, and we have a bunch of studies that are in the works. We're going to talk about how to use havening touch to reduce stress and amplify well-being in three main ways. The first way is using havening when feeling distressed or stressed, using havening to enhance existing positive states, and using havening on desired states that we might not feel right now, but we want to feel. We'll begin with havening when feeling distressed or stressed. This is probably the most important way that we use havening when you're feeling upset and overwhelmed. So the way we use havening to reduce stress or distress is that we start by having you notice how you're feeling. Just like when you're going to a doctor and they're looking at what hurts or what's wrong, with havening, you need to notice what you're feeling before you can improve it. So just noticing and bringing it to your awareness, any stress you've been feeling. And it might be that it's very internally that you feel that way, even though you can't tell from the outside. And then what we do to measure it is we give it a score from 0 to 10, which is called the subjective units of distress scale, where 0 is no distress at all and 10 is the most you can imagine. We give it a score so we can see change and progress. Another way of looking at it is this emoji picture of 0 to 10. And once we've taken a score, we let go of the distress, we stop noticing it, and instead we focus on the feeling of havening touch. We start doing those 3 places of touch, we rotate between them as we can. And then we begin distracting our mind so that it's preoccupied and not thinking about the stress that we started with. So distraction's purpose is to engage the mind and to keep it absorbed and engaged and not triggered. So we want the distractions to be soothing. We want them to be neutral or even pleasant. So some examples of distractions that we use are humming a tune, counting by multiples, like could be 5s, 2s, 3s, 4s, whatever feels engaging but not stressful to you. Naming items in categories, like naming sports or naming fruit, you might put in fruit salad, or naming categories like animals, where you start with the letter A and go through like aardvark, B is for bear, C is for cat, D is for dog, different ways of naming items that feels convenient to you. It could be spelling words, like you can name items in a category and then spell each one of them. It might be reciting a poem or something that you know by heart. It could be describing a recipe or a book or a show or a game. Just keeping your mind on something that occupies it, so it's not thinking about something else that's upsetting. So in sum, what we do with havening to reduce distress is that we have you notice your stress level recently, bring it to your awareness. You score it from 0 to 10, which is subjective units of distress number, and you know what that is. You let go of the stress and you begin doing the havening touch and noticing the feeling of the touch. You use distractions to keep your mind engaged. Then after you've done some distractions, like a few of them, you assess the suds again to see what level it is. And you keep doing havening with distractions until the number is low, until you're feeling pretty calm. And then at that point, you do havening touch while saying the feeling that's resulting, the calm feeling. You just say the word like calm, 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 or grounded, or okay, whatever the feeling is that you have as a result. So I'm going to guide you through havening right now so that you get experience of it. To begin with, I'd like you to notice if you have any stress lately, like what your stress level is right now, just generally speaking these days. And then give it a score from 0 to 10, where 0 is no stress at all, and 10 is the most you can imagine, and just note what that number is. And then you don't need to keep noticing, just begin havening touch and focus on the feeling of the touch as you do it on your hands and your arms and your face, whatever feels good to you. And you're just going to rotate between those 3 locations. And as you're doing that, we're going to have you do distractions to keep your mind occupied, and I'm going to lead you in some of them. I really recommend that you close your eyes, because that way you can really focus on the distractions and the soothing quality of the touch. So to begin with, I'll ask you to hum with me the ABC song. If you can hum out loud, that's great. Otherwise, you can just hum it in your head. Wonderful. Great. Okay. Now we're going to do multiplication. So we're going to start with counting from 0 to 50 by 5. So here we go. 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Fantastic. Okay. Now we're going to do something where we're going to do items in a category. We're going to do actually the months of the year, starting with January, and just name each month out loud. I'll do it with you. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Fantastic. Okay. Now you can name items in a category of sports that you might watch on TV. So I'm going to just say some. You can just say some out loud too. So tennis, basketball, hockey, volleyball, pickleball, soccer, rugby. Great. Okay. So I want you to pause right now and notice what is your distress level right now from 0 to 10. Just notice that number. And we're going to do some more distractions to see if we can get that number lower to keep it low. So here we go. We're going to do another song. We're going to hum Row, Row, Row Your Boat. And humming is good. You can also sing, but humming is actually a little bit better for the nervous system. So here we go. Fantastic. Okay, now we're going to do numbers in a call and response way where I'm going to say a number and you can just repeat it back to me. Here we go. 10, 22, 105, 10 3/4, 38.25, 1,822, negative 25, negative 2.5, 862 3/4, 222. Great. Okay. Now we're going to do days of the week and we're going to name and spell each one. So here we go. Sunday, Sunday. Monday, Monday. Tuesday, Tuesday. Wednesday, Wednesday. Thursday, Thursday. Friday, Friday. And Saturday, Saturday. Fantastic. Okay. So what do you notice right now? What's your distress level from 0 to 10? Hopefully it's gotten to be lower. And then I want you to notice how you're feeling at the end in terms of feeling neutral or pleasant. So for example, you might feel okay, you might feel calm. Whatever you feel, I'd like you to say that word out loud while you're doing havening touch. So for example, you could just say calm, calm, calm. And you just repeat that word and bring that feeling on, like really feel that feeling while you're saying havening touch. So calm, calm, okay, okay, peaceful, peaceful, whatever feeling you have at the end, you just say it out loud. Great. Okay. So in havening, we work on reducing the stress and amplifying well-being. Both of these are important. So distress, what we're doing is we're soothing our nervous system through havening touch and distractions. That's calming to us. And then on the right side with the well-being, we're amplifying well-being by having you focus on positive feelings at the end by saying things like calm and peaceful and safe, that kind of a thing. This, when we work on both sides, it gives us a sense that it will be okay, I'm safe, I've got this. And it's important we work on both, because if we only work on distress, we kind of have a vacuum where we're not filling it with anything. And if we only work on well-being, we might be kind of burying these feelings of distress. So what's most helpful, I found, is if we work a bit on the distress with the humming and the distractions, and then we focus more on the well-being aspect and amplify that. So a great way to amplify well-being is what we call affirmational havening. You had a taste of it just now. We do it when distress is low, because if we're feeling really upset and we say happy, obviously our brain is going to argue with us. Once the distress is low, you can say an adjective that seems true and is neutral or positive. It's important that this be authentic in what you're feeling. So you could say calm, or you could say getting calmer, whatever feels accurate, or okay. It can be a simple word, just like okay, fine. That's good enough, as long as it feels neutral or positive and is where you're at. So okay, calm, grounded, relaxing, for example. And it's one or multiple words that you repeat as they're getting stronger. And you can keep repeating them as they're getting stronger. And once they're kind of even and plateau, you can stop with that. So affirmational havening links the initial situation with a positive feeling. You might start feeling stressed, and by the end of doing it, the havening with distractions and then the affirmations, you're feeling good. So then you think of the situation initially with a better feeling. It also increases feelings of safety, well-being, and resilience in general across the board. It's actually, it builds resilience. And you can do affirmational havening in particular to amplify equality. So for example, if you're about to go into a discussion that you're worried about, you can say calm, calm, calm. If you're going to do a presentation in front of a large group, you can say confident, confident, confident. So you can use affirmational havening once you're in a calmer state to amplify equality. And when you're feeling less distressed, it's much easier to use affirmational havening. Another kind of havening you can use to amplify well-being is called affirmational havening. It's based on the fact that we use what-ifing a lot for negative reasons, like what if I mess up? What if I do badly today? What if people don't understand me? What if they don't like me? And we flip it to a positive intention with something like, what if today goes great? What if I have a lot of fun? What if I get stronger every day? What if my creativity is increasing? So we use it for a positive intention. And it can be a specific example like, what if I do really well in this class? Or it could be in general, what if I have a great year? It could be simple like, what if I feel calm? Or it could be complex like, what if I feel more and more confident in myself? Any of that is welcome and invited. So affirmational havening invites and excites the mind to think about positive possibilities. It just kind of proposes it, a what if. It's just a suggestion. And it makes the mind suggestible to that belief, because if you start with a what if I'm confident, it makes you think, oh, yeah, I could be doing that. I could be confident. So we're going to practice it a little bit today. I'm going to say an affirmation, an affirmational havening, and then you can repeat it back to me while you're doing havening touch. So here we go. What if today is fun and rewarding? What if I'm productive? And just repeat them back to me. What if tonight I really relax and enjoy myself? What if I was born to do this job? What if I make a positive difference today? And even if you can't do the touch, you can imagine it, by the way. If you can, though, it's good. What if things turn out better than I could have possibly imagined? So I invite you to think of some what ifs yourself, to create a couple of what ifs yourself. Great. We can use havening to create and strengthen positive states. So if we want to feel more powerful, more resourceful, more creative, more fun, more funny, we can use havening for that purpose. As you might have heard, whatever you focus on grows. So if we think a lot about feeling powerless, the things on our left side, the powerless, scared, overwhelmed, depleted, inadequate, and hopeless, those feelings will get stronger. But if we focus more on times and situations where we feel powerful, safe, masterful, full of love, okay, and hopeful, we feel better and better. Our thoughts follow the thoughts we've had in the first place. So we want to strengthen that right side. When I looked on the internet about what are some things about teachers, this is some things I found. To teach is to touch a life forever. A teacher is a multitasking educational rock star who lives to inspire and loves to encourage. They're kind of a big deal. With school social workers, I found social work is love made visible. School counselor, if you think my hands are full, you should see my heart. School psychologist, caring, dedicated, loving, loyal, kind, reliable, warm, and compassionate. So I invite you right now to think about what is it that you love or have loved about working in schools? What is it that you love about being in the education system? What's the best part about it? I want you to just think about that right now while you're doing some havening touch. Great. We're going to talk about how to amplify a desired positive state. So to begin with, you can start doing havening touch. And then I invite you to think of a time that your role felt particularly enjoyable, rewarding, and meaningful. Just time that you felt like, well, this is great. I really love doing this. I feel so lucky to be doing this. It could have been funny. It could have been touching. It could be empowering, whatever that kind of experience. It was really nice. It could be a one-time thing. It could be a situational thing where you felt this way. Just notice what comes to mind at the time when your role felt really enjoyable or rewarding or meaningful. And I want you to really make that experience vivid right now in your senses as much as you can, as if you were stepping into it right now as you're doing havening, making it come alive. Really step into it, get absorbed in it, breathe it in and out to your whole body, really living it right now. And notice how it feels when you do this. What adjectives describe it? So it could be like empowered, strong, fun, important, touch, whatever it might be. Just say the words that express it. Could be multiple adjectives. Just say all those feelings that come up when you think about it while you're doing havening touch. That helps increase them. And keep repeating those words. Keep repeating those words and feeling them while you're feeling those feelings and doing havening touch. And you're repeating the words while you're feeling the situation, like it's really vivid for you. And next, as you continue to do havening touch, imagine going through your day having this feeling from the time you wake up, throughout the day, to the time you go to sleep. Throughout the day, you're having this good feeling about yourself and about life. In particular, you might think about having it when you really need it, during challenging times, that it kind of comes up spontaneously when you really need it, that it kicks in more at those times. Imagine that happening. You might think about if there's a symbol, image, animal, or character that represents the feeling, such as the sun, or a tree, or a lion, or a cartoon character like Tigger, or some historical figure like the Buddha, or some actor, anything that really represents this feeling and gives it a little bit more substance. And just notice that feeling while you're doing havening touch, and kind of in combination with that feeling overall. You might notice as well if this feeling has a color, like white or yellow or light blue or pink or purple. Just notice, is there a red? Is there a color that you feel associated with this feeling? And breathe this feeling as well as the symbol and color in and out to your whole body to make it even stronger, really powerful while you're havening. And imagine that more and more this feeling becomes who you are, day after day, week after week, year after year. This is more who you are. You're becoming more and more of that, coming more into your own all the time. So this becomes more your natural state. Great. And maybe note right now what this feeling and symbol and color are to remember it. And you can rehearse this a lot, practice this a lot, so that it gets to be more comfortable and a setting for you. So havening can be done during the day and evening. Whenever you're activated, you can do or imagine doing havening with distractions to feel better. So you can imagine doing havening and then do distractions with that, or you can do havening with distractions. So humming and counting, for example. You can haven on a pleasant state you're feeling in the moment, like you're feeling grounded, okay, or calm. But you can think, what if I'm, whatever state, what if I'm calm? What if I'm confident? What if I know what I'm doing? While you think about what you want to do. So when you're feeling a state, you just say that state, but when you're thinking, it's not what you're feeling, but you want to, you say, what if I'm? In the morning, this could be about how you want the day to unfold, like, what if this will be a productive day, or I can't wait to get to class and start my day, whatever it might be. I can't wait to work on that. During the day, it could be about being more masterful and resourceful. Like you could say confident, 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 or what if I really nailed this lesson, for example. At bedtime, it can be about being relaxed, grateful, sleepy. You could say, what if I'm relaxed? What if I'm relaxed? Or you could say, I'm so sleepy, I can't keep my eyes open. I'm so sleepy, so sleepy. So it could be affirmations or affirmations. And all these, you always be doing havening touch with this. So kids can actually do havening too, in the same way that an adult would, and it's actually quite fun. They really enjoy it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can show kids how to do havening. So some possibilities are leading a class in it. Now you can see this is a group of young kids with a teacher. And you can do it during morning routine or times when you have a transition, when kids are coming back from recess or PE or some special, and they're coming back in and trying to settle in. It's a great way to ground and calm the class when they come back. Some distractions you can use with the classroom are ones that are simple and collective, like singing a song together, counting by multiples together, repeating words after me or numbers after me, reciting quotes, looking at the reciting anything on the chalkboard while doing havening at the same time. It's a very easy accompaniment to any activity. And simply, if you just say, hey, just rub your hands together while you're counting out loud right now, or while you're repeating this out loud. Very simple. In small groups for distractions, you can have each person name an item in a category as you go around the group. So for example, each person can name who's their favorite singer or musician, or who's your favorite sports person or superhero, and everybody can go around while they're all havening at the same time. It's actually a fun way to start a group too. You can do havening with older kids as well. And with any age kid, when we're talking to an individual student, you can suggest that they do havening touch while they're talking when they're unhappy. So if you notice they're talking about something and they're upset, say, hey, how about doing some havening while you're talking to me? That'll help you feel better. And if you want them to help them get distracted, you can ask them, okay, what are some hobbies you do for fun? Or what video game are you playing now? Or something that they like to talk about that's preoccupying for them. You can sometimes do distractions with them where you go back and forth. Like if you say, what are animals A to Z? And each one of you does one letter back and forth, like aardvark, bear, cat, dog. You go back and forth from each letter to letter, and that can be a lot of fun. When you're using affirmational havening with an individual student, make sure you use their words, like how are you feeling now after you've done some havening touch? And just let them repeat their own words rather than posing them, just ask them how they're feeling. But when you're in a class as a whole, if you want them to go more towards feeling quiet and calm and focused, you could have the class just generally say calm, focused, in other words, that are the kind of state you'd like them to be in. Affirmations can be used a lot. You could suggest they say, what if I do great today? What if today's magical? You can ask them for their affirmations, which is a lot of fun. It can relate to a particular project, like, for example, what if I can build this project well, or what if I can solve this math problem easily? Or it could be a situation like, what if I can make friends more easily? Really encourage them to do affirmational havening with challenges when they're on their own. It's like you're setting up this model for them, but the affirmations are very powerful to an individual to get in the habit. So you can reinforce that as a habit. This is a saying that Dr. Ron Rudin developed. I open my mind to learning. I open my heart to friendship. I choose to feel safe, peaceful, calm. It's a very good affirmation. It really covers a lot of ground of what you want the kids to feel. So it's a really nice affirmation to have them do while they're doing havening. You could even have them just recite this out loud. So some ideas that people are using in schools, this is an example of Simon Says, where each instruction is Simon Says, brush your arms 5 times, counting out loud. Simon Says, wash your face. Simon Says, put lotion on hands, and it gets them to replicate the havening touch. This is an example that one of the teachers provided, that she had a student who was really worried about getting on stage, and the student was in a group, and the teacher got the whole group to do havening together. The group said, oh, wow, this is great. And that really got the student to do it and feel better and feel like they belong to something while they were doing it together. Also, teacher talked about how she plays music while the students are listening and havening. So you could really do this anytime in a transition to an activity where you just have them listen to music while they're havening. And in fact, you can even do havening if they're standing, even do havening while they're dancing or havening while they're moving. That's actually a very nice use of havening. Other examples of using havening is when first graders are riled up after recess, do havening touch with ABC and other songs to get them calm and focused. And 9th grade students doing havening touch to get them less overwhelmed, because sometimes kids say, I can't settle in to do homework, I'm too hyped up. Okay, just do some havening touch and do some humming before you do your homework, or imagine doing it. An 11th grader that was going to take the SAT was really nervous, so the counselor suggested imagining the confident feeling he had when he was playing drums in the marching band, and just bring that up regarding taking the SAT, and that helped him feel more confident. So what's next? So I encourage you to practice havening on yourself. There's a link coming up for handouts that you can use for that purpose. You can consider showing it to colleagues, friends, and students. There's some handouts about that as well. When you do havening, please use your creativity, make it your own. Educators are very creative and innovative people, and it's good that you actually shape it to your life and your instruction. Havening is inherently safe. It's a very soothing method. You do it on yourself, so you don't need to do anything you don't want to. And the distractions alone actually are very safe and helpful. Distractions are very calming. That's why we engage in distractions all the time when we want to feel better. So you can just hum, and that's enough for distractions, and that's very safe. So you can look out for future havening videos on our YouTube channel, which is called Havening for Educators. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me or Florence. Florence speaks English, Norwegian, and French, and she's in Europe. I'm in America, and I speak English. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask us. We're happy to come teach online a class for you so that you have a real lifetime experience. And any questions you have, please feel free to reach out. Thanks so much for your time.